Hi, I'm Mitch Gallagher. Welcome to the Sweetwater Minute. Today we're at Gear Fest and I'm joined by Russ Berger from Russ Berger Design Group. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
Love it.
Now, Russ, you're an acoustician, studio designer. Your credits include NFL Films, the WWE studios, Whitney Houston, Paragon, an incredible list of studios, something like 2,500 studios, something like that over the course of your career?
We stopped counting. It doesn't matter how many.
Incredible.
The most important one, though, is Sweetwater.
Well, of course. Of course, and we're in Sweetwater Studio B right now, which Russ did design along with all the other studios and our performance theater. Now, can you tell us, how did you become an acoustician? What led you down that career path and to where you are today?
Well, I guess in school I majored in physics and electrical engineering. I always loved sciences. I love music. I worked as a musician ever since, I guess, about fourth grade is when I picked up. Well, I wasn't really a musician. I was a drummer. But I actually was on television when I was, I guess, sixth grade, playing in a band. And there was a band, a local band I played with for a while, that I got a really great gig because their drummer was in a car wreck, broke both legs. And so I got to tour a little bit with them, which was a real eye-opener for me at a young age.
I bet.
And but I was always interested in recording and the electronics part of it too. Started working as a recording musician. I've owned 3 studios of my own, moved there. I had real problem finding anybody to design them. At that time, this is back in the late 70s, there was, we knew a lot about acoustics of large room spaces, but there really wasn't much done with small rooms. And I was drawn to that because I was trying to build my own rooms. Called everybody I could think of. I read all the books I could find on it. And about that time, Dick Heiser came out with time delay spectrometry. He had been using it as a hobbyist. He was with the Jet Propulsion Lab. He was a troubleshooter.
Okay.
Amazing man. And I was so honored to be able to sit at his feet. I guess I was the 3rd person licensed by the JPL to do time delay spectrometry. This stood audio on its ear, certainly for me and most of the industry. Up to then, we knew how much, and we knew at what frequency, but we didn't know when.
Okay.
And the when turned out to be profound. It wasn't so much those levels, but how sounds combined over time and recombined with it. Now, of course, all modern DSP and everything's all based on, time-based, measurement and convolving. So that, that really threw me into it.
Right. I think it's very interesting that you come from such a musical background and are in the studio design as opposed to coming from strictly an engineering kind of a background. Do you think that really informs the way that you design a studio or work in a space as far as setting a space up for how it flows?
Well, no, because I was a drummer.
Oh.
No. It's, it really does. The old saw in architecture. Well, again, we started an acoustical consulting firm, but almost 20 years ago, we moved into architecture. We brought architecture on board because we were having to reinvent the wheel every time with every architect, explain to them why we needed to do things.
Right.
And, at architecture's core, in its best, it's the whole form follows function. But that gets lost along the way, where it's, well, I want to do this really cool looking thing, and I've always wanted to do a studio, I've always wanted to do something, and I'm going to do a twist on it so it serves me, and they lose sight of the customer, of the client. And our designs are all based on what do our clients want to say about themselves, how do they want to work, and while there's a lot of similarities in every studio we do, there's a lot of things that are different. It's based on what you want to say about yourself to your clients and how you work and how you perform.
Right.
So, yeah, I'd have to say that my time in the studio as an engineer, as a musician, and then, of course, the science aspects of it, too. Everything informs. Everything applies if you make it apply.
Sure. Now, you do, in addition to the major world-class facilities that you work in, you also do a lot of home studios.
Oh, yeah.
What is usually the biggest challenge that you face when you're presented with a home and somebody says, I want to put a studio in my bedroom or my garage or wherever it might be?
Well, they start off saying, well, I don't want to build Whitney Houston studio, or I don't want to, I can't afford, blah, blah, blah. Well, yeah, nobody can afford that.
Right.
There's, you have to, I guess the most difficult part is when expectations are not in line with the budget or the timeline or something else. And that, to me, is the most important part of any project, is that beginning where you talk through how much money do we have to spend? What's our budget? What can we spend on this? And then what do you want to accomplish? What's important? What's the essence of this?
Sure.
And then what do you expect out of this? And then, have you already ordered the console and it's coming next week and you want me to design and build the studio by then? Right. You have to have all those things in line. If they're in line, it's great. And that's our job, is to help the clients over those troubled waters to get to the other side of the room. Because
right.
most of the time they have never built anything before, and they're terrified, and they're spending stupid amounts of money, probably everything they have. They're risking everything to do this. And we take that really seriously.
Sure.
Because I'm there I'm in the same place with my business, with everybody. I want,
right.
I can't afford to be just building stuff. So I think the hardest part is getting everything in line. But when all that's in line, then everything flows. And the bad part is when you start, well, I have a drawing, or I've bought this treatment and I already started putting it on the wall. And you're going, well, is that even the right thing? Maybe you shouldn't even do it in this room. It should be in another one, or you should wait. I've had many clients, I've said, don't build now. You're not ready for this. Just keep working out of your bedroom, or keep doing this. Just wait. I'll get a call 3 and 4. We've got strings of clients where they've called 3 and 4 years later and said, it was the best advice you could have given me. I'm ready now. Or they're in a situation where they're working at another place that can afford to do this.
Now, I get a lot of emails and questions from people asking how they can become an acoustician. They want to get into studio design. What kind of advice do you have for somebody who wants to pursue that as a career path?
Well, like getting into music, it needs to be something that calls you. It's not a career you go into going, man, I'm going to really get rich.
Yeah.
Okay?
Right.
It's something you just have to do. It's a passion. And you have to have a good service mentality. And it's a neat career because it rewards experience. The more experience you have, the bigger vocabulary of words and solutions you have. If they are anybody who's serious about it, go find somebody that you respect and go work for them. However you do it, trick them, cheat them, whatever, go to work for them, study under them. It's the people that I worked with. I always learn from everybody else. I've had a few original thoughts.
A lot.
Well.
Now, we have a program here where you're working with some of Sweetwater's customers as well. Is that correct?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, we've just finished referring 3 projects here to some of the salespeople here that were appropriate and just right for this. And I get calls from salespeople here frequently. I've got somebody they want to step a little beyond what they're doing in their home, and they're not comfortable with this, or they want to reach another level, or they have the funds, they have the ability to be able to do something nice and right. Oftentimes some of the salespeople their clients have problems they're concerned about. And of course, we're happy to help anytime we can.
Right. It's a tremendous resource for the sales guys here.
Well,
all right. Russ, thanks so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Thanks
for coming
Mitch.
to GearFest and spending some time with us. I'm Mitch Gallagher. Thanks for joining me for the Sweetwater Minute.